She told me she went off for a couple hours with some guy during a girls' weekend out, said he tried to kiss her, but nothing happened. Swears she's only telling me now because one of the other women let it slip to her husband, and she didn't want me finding out secondhand. But honestly, I don't buy it. That trust one had? It's gone. Completely gone. I'm crashing on my cousin Jake's pull-out couch right now, typing this at 3 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't sleep if I tried. My head's a mess, and I just needed to throw this all somewhere nobody knows me. If you're hoping this ends with some feel-good redemption arc or whatever, might want to stop reading now. I'm 34. Been running construction sites for close to a decade now. I don't make tech bro money or anything, but I've done alright. My fridge stays full, and I splurge on the thick paper towels and the good soap, you know? My wife, well, soon-to-be ex maybe, her name's Haley. She's 29. We've been together for 8 years, married for 5. We've got 2 amazing kids, our daughter Mia just turned 3, and our boy Nolan's 5. They're my whole world. A little about me. I'm from up north, grew up outside of Grand Rapids. My old man fixed sinks and toilets for a living, and my mom taught 3rd grade. I was one of those high school linebacker types. Decent enough to play, not nearly good enough to get a scholarship, but I held my own. Tried college for a bit, but it didn't stick. Ended up leaving after 2 years and getting into a construction apprenticeship. From there, I just kept climbing, from grunt to foreman. Now I'm the guy making sure the steel holds and nobody ends up on the wrong side of an accident report. I met Haley when I was 26, at a buddy's barbecue. She was the knockout everyone was talking about. You know the type, blonde, fit, dressed like she could have stepped out of a club flyer. Everyone kept warning me, said she was one of those wild ones. Never stuck with a guy, had a trail of short flings and emotional chaos behind her. Probably some deep-seated issues from her dad being in and out of her life. But man, I didn't care. I was completely taken in. She was magnetic, and way out of my league. I should have paid attention to the signs. Should have asked more questions. But I didn't. I was just caught up in how she looked, how she made me feel in those early days. I guess I thought I was different. Special. Turns out, I was just next in line. Let me know if you want me to continue with more paragraphs or rewrite another part of it. Yeah, I know, textbook dumbass move, right? But in the beginning, man, things felt perfect. We were deep in that honeymoon phase, spontaneous weekend drives with no plans. She'd surprise me at job sites with burgers and iced coffee. Back then, she was kind of half committed to studying marketing, but it always felt more like a placeholder than a real goal. Then she got pregnant with Nolan. We'd been together about 3 years at that point. I didn't even hesitate. I dropped to one knee and asked her to marry me the same week. My folks weren't exactly throwing confetti. My mom actually pulled me aside and gently asked if I was sure. And I was. I honestly believed we were solid, like we had something real that could weather anything. Fast forward 5 years, we're living in a comfortable 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood outside Dallas. I pull 50, sometimes 60 hours a week out on dusty, sun-scorched sites, while Haley teaches 2 yoga classes a week at some boutique studio. The rest of the time, she's home with the kids and curating her Instagram persona, all about being a boy mom and her so-called wellness journey. She's got about 4,000 followers now. Don't ask me why or how. She's always been a little high maintenance, designer skincare, hair appointments that cost more than my truck payment, but I figured that just came with the territory when you marry someone who turns heads everywhere she goes. And to be honest, our marriage, it was fine. Nothing explosive. Not much fighting. Just kind of autopilot, I guess. But this past year, she's been more vocal about feeling stuck. Says being a mom swallowed her whole. That she doesn't even recognize herself anymore. And every time one of her old college friends posts some solo trip or boozy brunch, she spirals, says she gave everything up while they're out there living life. Meanwhile, I'm out there in triple-digit heat, covered in concrete dust, making sure we can afford the overpriced almond milk and specialty snacks she insists the kids need. So when her old sorority crew put together this 5-day escape to some luxury lake house out in Sedona, infinity pool, mountain views, the whole influencer fantasy, I actually told her to go. She'd been not so subtly dropping hints for weeks, flashing her phone at me with screenshots from the group chat and saying stuff like, "Doesn't that view look incredible?" I figured maybe she just needed a reset, a break. I had no idea I'd be the one left needing space to breathe. I told her, yeah, go, have a great time, and even handed her $600 in cash that was supposed to go toward fixing the brakes on my truck. Figured she could use it for drinks or whatever. Meanwhile, I stayed home, held down the fort with the kids, tried to get some work done remotely when I wasn't out on site, and called in a few favors from my mom to help with school runs and bedtime on the days I was stretched thin. Basically, I was juggling everything while she went off to reconnect with herself or whatever it was supposed to be. The first couple nights she was gone, she called like clockwork. FaceTimed the kids before bed, sent me snapshots of her and the girls lounging by the pool with those ridiculous yard-long cocktails. Seemed like she was having fun, and I was glad. Sort of. But by the third day, something shifted. Her calls got shorter. The texts turned into vague one-liners, stuff like "miss you guys. Having so much fun." With way too many exclamation points, like she was overcompensating. I noticed the silence more than anything. Just less of her. When she got back, everything felt off. She barely spoke to me, glued to her phone but flipping it face down the second I got near. And she was on edge, snapping at me for the tiniest stuff, like how I folded Mia's pajamas or mixed up the kids' drawers. I tried to chalk it up to the post-vacation blues, you know, the crash back to reality after 5 days of pretending you're 22 again. Then she drops it on me, right in the middle of me putting Nolan to bed. "Eli, I need to tell you something that happened while I was away." Her voice all soft and dramatic like it's just another update in our routine. I pause, turn to her slowly. She's standing in the doorway, arms folded like she's bracing for impact. She goes on the third night, we met some guys at this rooftop bar. I ended up talking to this one guy, his name was Lucas. And, when we stepped outside for some air, he tried to kiss me. That's when my stomach dropped. I froze mid-tuck, my hand still on Nolan's blanket. Just stared at her, not saying a word, while my mind ran wild with every worst-case scenario. My jaw locked so hard I swear I felt my teeth grinding. But I kept my tone even, low, the kids were right there. "And what did you do?" I asked her. Calm, but clipped. Like every word was fighting its way out of my throat. She rushed to answer, real fast, too fast. I pushed him away. Right away. It didn't mean anything. But in that moment? It didn't matter what she said. All I could think was, why was there even a moment to push him away from in the first place? She tells me she told the guy she was married with kids and then went back inside. I didn't say anything right away, just nodded once. That's it. 10 solid seconds of silence while my ears were burning and my chest felt like it was about to explode. I could feel the heat rising in my face, that kind of white-hot anger that makes your hands twitch. Inside, I wanted to flip every damn thing in that room. But I didn't lose it. I kept it together, for the kids, mostly, but also because I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. I locked eyes with her and just said, "Nice to know you remembered you've got a husband and kids back home." Then I turned and walked out. I had to. If I'd stayed in that room, I might have said something I'd never be able to take back. There were a million questions clawing at the back of my throat. Why were you even outside with him? What the hell were you two talking about that couldn't happen inside the bar? How long were you alone before he made a move? But I swallowed them. For the time being, anyway. I didn't want to fight, not in front of the kids. And deep down, I think I still wanted to believe her. I mean, 8 years together, 2 kids, a house, bank accounts with both our names on them, that doesn't all just go up in smoke over one bad decision. Right? Unless, there was more. And man, I was about to find out just how clueless I'd been. Jump ahead 2 weeks, and everything still feels off. Haley's jumpy as hell every time her phone pings. She's been going to bed early, but I can see the blue glow of her screen lighting up the bedroom long after midnight, sometimes until 2 in the morning. I don't say anything. Not yet. I'm just watching. Clocking it all. Then last night, I'm on the couch catching the playoffs, and she comes in with this pale, dead-eyed look like she just got some bad news. Doesn't say a word at first, just sinks down onto the edge of the cushion like her legs gave out. And right then, I knew. I didn't know what exactly, but I could feel it. Whatever this was, it was bigger than a drunken kiss at a bar. "Eli, there's something else about the trip I need to tell you, before you hear it from someone else." I didn't even look at her at first. Just hit pause on the game and let the silence settle. Of course there was more. That damn trip was like a bottomless pit. Every time I thought I'd hit the last of it, something else came crawling out. But I already knew, just from her voice, that whatever she was about to say was going to sting more than anything on the scoreboard. She didn't sit. Just hovered by the armrest, arms crossed tight like she was trying to hold herself together. "Savannah, she told her husband something," she started. "And, I know he works over at the Northline site with you, so I didn't want you to hear it from him first." I didn't say a word. Just nodded once for her to keep going. She let out this shaky breath. "That night, the third one, we went out to grab tacos." I blinked. "We?" I asked. She hesitated. "Me and Lucas." "Yeah, that Lucas. The same guy who'd tried to kiss her." She nodded like she was admitting to breaking a damn law. It was late, and everyone was hungry. We'd all been drinking a bit. He offered to drive. Said he wanted to talk and apologize for earlier. I stared at her, straight-faced. So you got into a car, at night, alone, with the guy who already crossed a line with you, because he said he was sorry and wanted tacos? She didn't even flinch. He was the most sober one there, she said, like that somehow made it make sense. And he's going through a messy divorce. He just needed someone to talk to. I didn't yell. Didn't raise my voice. Didn't move an inch. Just stared at her like I was trying to see through the bullshit. You sure this was about tacos? I asked. Calm. Cold. Because the way you're telling it? Sounds like food was the excuse, not the point. She shifted, couldn't keep still. Eyes flicking around like she was looking for an exit that wasn't there. We just drove around for a bit. Talked. The taco place was kinda far. Far, huh? I said, reaching for my phone. I pulled up the map and tapped in the name of the taco joint. Then tilted the screen toward her, not mad, not smug, just done. That place you're talking about? It's 10 minutes from the Airbnb. The taco place? Yeah. It's maybe 12 minutes from that lake house, tops. Not even close to an hour. She opened her mouth like she had something to say, then just shut it again. And this was after the kiss, right? I asked. Because that's what you said. But earlier, you told me that kiss happened at the end of the trip. She fumbled, stammering. I got the days mixed up. We were drinking, I don't really remember. The timeline's fuzzy. Aha, I said, already scrolling through my phone. The taco place you're talking about? I held the screen up. Closes before midnight. But you were out late, remember? Past that. She gave this slow nod like she was trying to process where the trap was. No tacos. No photos. No wrappers. Nothing. And now, your phone's glued to your hand. Always face down. Always with you, even when you're in the shower. You don't even leave it on the nightstand anymore. I paused for a beat. And I walked in the other day and caught you deleting messages. It was spam, she said fast, like she'd rehearsed it. I was just clearing space. I almost laughed. Come on, Haley. You barely use your phone. You've got more empty storage on that thing than the damn company server. What were you really clearing out? She let out this dramatic sigh and looked irritated, like I was the one causing a problem now. You're overthinking it. I told you, I don't remember the exact order. Lucas was going through stuff, he was being emotional. He showed me pictures of his dog, okay? He started crying. I didn't speak right away. I wanted to, but I waited, made sure every word came out slow, steady, razor sharp. And that made it okay? That was enough for you to go off alone with a guy who already made a pass at you? You had friends inside. You had options. Why not stay with them? Why not anyone else? She stared back, and just like that, her whole demeanor changed. Her face hardened. Shoulders squared up. So what? She snapped. You don't trust me now? After everything we've been through? That's what she said, like she was the one being betrayed. Then she spun around, stomped down the hall, and called her mom. Yeah, the same mom who's been coddling her since she was a teenager. Always telling her how special she is, how no one appreciates her enough. Now she's holed up in the guest room, stone cold silent, acting like I'm the one who screwed up. Like I'm the villain for asking a few basic questions. And that's what really gets me. She could have just told the truth the first time. Could have been real with me. But instead, I'm sitting here putting together puzzle pieces while she plays the victim. It's like I'm the crazy one for noticing that nothing she says adds up. But I'm not crazy. Right? I mean, come on, this whole late-night taco ride with the guy who already tried to kiss me story? It's absolute garbage. We've built a life together. A mortgage, 2 kids, 8 years of history, and she's acting like I'm out of line for wanting clarity about one sketchy night. It's wild. Like I'm supposed to swallow her lies and thank her for the effort. And let's be honest, we all know what going for tacos really means in that context. I couldn't focus at all the next day. Barely slept. At work, I looked like hell. My foreman even asked if I'd been drinking because I kept zoning out and fumbling tools. Nearly walked off a damn scaffold because my head was somewhere else. I knew I couldn't keep spiraling without getting more answers, so I did something I probably should have done earlier. I texted Mark, Kayla's husband. Just said, hey man, you free after work? Grab a beer? He agreed, and we met at this beat-up sports bar a few blocks from the site. Place smelled like spilled beer and stale wings, but whatever, I wasn't there for ambience. The second I walked in, he looked nervous. Real twitchy. We did the usual dance, how's work, how's the kids, small talk that neither of us meant. Then I cut through the crap. So, what exactly did Kayla tell you about Amber's trip? He paused. Took a deep pull from his beer like he needed liquid courage. Then he sighed and said, look, man. I really don't want to be in the middle of this. So, according to Mark, things didn't exactly go down the way Amber said they did. He told me that yeah, Ryan did try to kiss her on day 3, and yeah, she pushed him off, at first. But Kayla apparently saw her about an hour later, cozying up next to the guy at the fire pit. Laughing at every dumb thing he said, brushing his arm like they were already a couple. She even let him put his jacket around her shoulders, said it was getting chilly. Chilly. It was 85 degrees out there. Then came day 4, and it sounds like the whole group was talking about it by then. Everyone could see it, Amber and this guy, non-stop flirting like they were the only 2 people on the planet. At one point, they're in the hot tub, and she's basically sitting in his lap. That's when they decided to go on their little taco run. And here's the part that gutted me, Mark said nobody stopped them. Not a single person said a word. Because, in his words, it was already obvious what was going on. They came back 2 hours later. No tacos. Not even a damn bag. Amber's hair was all over the place, lipstick smudged clean off. When Kayla asked where the food was, Amber just giggled and said, "We got distracted." Distracted. And Ryan? Mark said he had this smug, shit-eating grin on his face the rest of the night. Like he knew exactly what he'd done, and that no one was gonna say anything about it. My stomach dropped. I just sat there, gripping my beer like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. I felt sick, like someone had sucker punched me in the gut and then set my whole chest on fire. But Mark wasn't done. He looked like he wanted to vanish right there in that bar, but he still told me the rest. Said the next morning, Kayla overheard Amber on the phone, giving Ryan directions to the lake house. He showed up an hour later, and they went off hiking together. Just the 2 of them. For 3 hours. On the last day. And when they got back, Amber spent most of the time glued to her phone, giggling at whatever messages she was getting. Wonder who those were from. To his credit, Mark didn't try to sugarcoat anything. Didn't give me any bro advice or tell me what I should do. He just gave me the facts, plain and steady, like a guy who knew I deserved to know the truth, no matter how ugly it was. Mark added one more thing before I left. Said Kayla actually did try to stop Amber from going off with Ryan that night. Told her it was a bad idea, that it looked wrong. Amber told her to stay out of it. Mind her own business. I thanked him for being honest, just laid it out for me with no spin. Then I left. Didn't even finish my drink. Just got in the truck and sat there in the lot for a solid half hour, not even turning the key. I wasn't seeing anything. Just the inside of my head playing on a loop. 8 damn years. 2 kids. A house we busted our asses renovating last summer, remember ripping up the old floors myself after work, my back screaming the whole time. And she flushes all of it down the drain for some lakeside fling with a guy named Ryan and a taco run that never even happened? I drove for a while. Nowhere in particular, just got on the road and cranked Metallica loud enough to drown out my thoughts. It barely worked. My brain was still stuck on every single moment of our relationship, looking for cracks. Trying to figure out when it started to rot. How many of these so-called taco runs I'd missed while I was busy working overtime or letting her sleep in on weekends while I took the kids. Was I not enough? Not making enough? Not doing enough? Or was it just her? At one point, I almost turned off toward Eric's place. He's been through the ringer twice and always said his first wife stepped out on him, but I couldn't bring myself to talk to anyone yet. Couldn't stand the idea of saying it out loud and hearing it echo back. Stopped for gas instead. Went inside and bought a pack of smokes. First one I've touched since Liam was born. Sat in the corner of some strip mall parking lot and lit up 3 in a row like they were keeping me alive. When I finally made it back home, it was just after 9. Amber was lounging on the couch, scrolling TikTok like the world was fine, while the kids ran wild in the next room. No supervision. Juice all over Zoe's shirt. Liam had the iPad cranked to max volume, watching some game where characters just scream non-stop. The chaos didn't faze her. I didn't yell. Didn't storm in or slam the door. I just asked the kids to head upstairs and play in their room for a bit. Then I sat down across from her. Steady. Tired. Done. We need to talk about what really happened in Arizona. She didn't even flinch. Just rolled her eyes and groaned, "Oh my God, are you still on about that?" It was nothing. You're being so dramatic. Her words hit the air like she was trying to make it all disappear, like I was the one blowing things out of proportion. I didn't let it slide. I talked to Mark. Her face went from annoyed to pure panic in half a second. It was like someone had just pulled the rug out from under her. She went into damage control mode immediately. First, she tried to tear down her own friend, Kayla. She's always been jealous of me. Ryan was talking to me more than her. She's just trying to start drama because her own marriage is falling apart. When that didn't work, she shifted gears and went for Mark. He must have misunderstood what Kayla said. We did get tacos. They were, from a different place. I didn't blink. I just pulled up the taco truck's hours on my phone. The place you're talking about closes at 11, Amber. You said you went at midnight. Her eyes darted away, but I wasn't done. I pulled up her card statement from that night, showing the $78 charge at a hotel bar near the lake, at 1 a.m. Expensive tacos, I said, letting the silence sink in. That's when she cracked. She stopped trying to spin the story, but she wasn't about to hand me the truth just yet. Fine, she said, her voice small. We kissed again, but it was just a kiss, and I regretted it immediately. I stared at her. The look I gave her could have been the definition of, "Are you kidding me?" She knew I wasn't buying any of this. Okay, she said, her voice shaking now. We made out in his car for a bit. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. I wasn't letting her off that easy. I kept pushing. What really happened during those 2 hours, Amber? I want the whole truth. Now. The waterworks started, full-on crocodile tears, the kind that didn't even feel real. She was trying to drown me in emotion, hoping I'd feel sorry for her. But she kept talking. We parked by the lake, and things went further, but we didn't do anything, we just did other stuff. I felt like I'd just been slapped. Like she was trying to convince me that some things didn't count. It was just physical, she said, as if that made any of this better. A handjob isn't sex, right? But hell, it's still cheating. And it stung just as bad as anything else. What about the hiking trip the next day? I asked, keeping my voice steady, even though I could feel everything tightening inside me. She froze, eyes wide, like I'd just dropped a bomb on her. Who told you? She asked, her voice rising in panic. Mark is such a liar. We just walked around the lake, for 3 hours. Let me guess, I said, keeping it calm. You gave him a tour of the inside of his car again? She went into full damage control mode. The eyes flicked away, and she started throwing her defense up. You've been so distant lately, she spat. You're always working, always with the kids, always playing your stupid video games. I was lonely. Ryan actually listened to me. He complimented me and made me feel desired again. There it was. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Then, she went low. She tried to use our kids, like a shield, like I hadn't seen that coming a mile away. Think about Liam and Zoe, she said, as if they were the excuse for everything she'd done. That was the moment it all hit me. She was using them to cover up her bullshit. I couldn't even look at her the same way after that. I grabbed my keys. Nah. I'm staying at Dave's tonight, I said, referring to my brother. Don't call me. You're leaving, she asked, her voice rising in panic. Yeah, I said, trying to keep my tone steady. You screwed this up, Amber. Not me. She shrieked, suddenly desperate, trying to pull me back in. It meant nothing. It's not like I'm in love with him. I just shook my head. I wasn't going to play into her attempts anymore. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and she followed me, crying, trying to grab my arm, as if that would change anything. I had to push past her, cold as hell inside. I told the kids I had to go help Uncle Dave with something and that they'd see me tomorrow. Liam asked why Mommy was crying, and I just said, grown-up stuff, buddy, giving them both extra long hugs. I could feel my heart breaking a little more every second. Later that night, I went back to my laptop and checked our phone records. Amber had been texting an Arizona number, a lot. Multiple times a day since the trip. It wasn't just 1 or 2 texts a day, either. Sometimes it was 40 or 50. She'd say it was him checking in on her after everything that happened. Yeah, sure, January. I couldn't look at her without imagining her with Ryan. I'd be at home, taking care of her kids, cleaning her house, busting my ass working overtime to make sure we had everything we needed, and all the while, she's with him, playing out some twisted version of whatever fantasy they'd built. I crashed at my brother's that night. Got maybe 2 hours of sleep, if that. The next morning, I called in sick to work. Didn't have the energy for anything except figuring out what the hell I was going to do. So I called the divorce lawyer. My buddy had used him when his wife cheated, and I needed someone who wouldn't pull punches. The guy was an old-school, no-nonsense Vietnam vet. He specialized in representing fathers who were getting screwed over in divorce. I handed him the $3,500 retainer without even blinking. I knew it was done. Dave, my brother, was solid through all this. He let me crash at his place, listened to me vent, didn't judge when I got trashed and ended up crying like a damn idiot on his back porch at 2 a.m. He'd never liked Amber. Called her high maintenance from day one. When Amber finally realized I was serious about leaving, she lost it. She called me 37 times that day. I only picked up once to tell her I'd be by to get more of my stuff and see the kids. That was it. She showed up at Dave's around dinner time, crying, trying to act like we could still talk this through. Dave told her to leave before he called the cops. She didn't care. She left a note on my truck later. It said, "I'll do anything to fix this." Too late. When I went home to grab more stuff and see the kids, she was right there, crying and begging me to stay. "I'll do anything to fix this," she kept saying. Therapy, quitting yoga, deleting her social media accounts, whatever it took. It was just a mistake, she kept repeating. Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah, sure. Forgetting to pay the electric bill, that's a mistake. Letting some guy touch you in his car? That's a choice. A conscious one. Her mom called me next, the audacity of it. She said, "Marriage has ups and downs, Josh. You need to be the bigger person and work through this rough patch." I actually laughed, just for a second. Then I asked her, "So, if your husband got a blowjob from some random woman, would you call that a rough patch?" She hung up on me without a word. Meanwhile, my brother and dad were helping me move my stuff into my brother's spare room. My dad didn't say much. Just, "You're doing the right thing, son," as he helped carry boxes. That was all I needed to hear. It felt surreal. One week, I'm a regular married guy, worrying about mortgage rates, my fantasy football lineup, the kids. The next, I'm Googling how child custody works and getting tested for STDs, negative, thank God. But Amber? She went into full PR mode on Instagram. Suddenly, she was posting throwback pictures of us, smiling as a happy family. Quotes about forgiveness, screenshots of old texts, all with captions like, "Fighting for what matters," and "Everyone deserves a second chance." She was trying to rewrite our history, but the damage was already done. The comments on Amber's posts were full of her basic-ass friends, saying stuff like, "Stay strong, mama," and "Praying for you guys." It was like a circus, completely surreal. Meanwhile, telling the kids that Daddy was going to be staying at Uncle Dave's for a while was the hardest part. My 5-year-old asked, "Are Mommy and Daddy mad at each other?" My 3-year-old just cried because she didn't understand. That shit broke me. I couldn't even explain it to them in a way that made sense. 2 weeks after the confession, I filed for divorce. Then, Amber served me papers at her yoga class, which her lawyer later claimed was deliberately humiliating. Yeah, well, I didn't pick the time or place. But whatever. She called me screaming, saying I was destroying our family. Pretty sure she destroyed it when she decided that tacos were code for sexual favors. Amber moved in with her parents temporarily, while I stayed at my brother's. The whole situation became this awkward co-parenting arrangement, where we exchanged the kids in the Target parking lot without so much as a glance at each other. Then, one day, her dad showed up to do the exchange and tried to lecture me about commitment. I just said, "Like father, like daughter," and walked away. I wasn't interested in hearing his thoughts on my commitment. About 3 weeks in, I went back to our house to grab more clothes. That's when I found her wedding ring, sitting on my Xbox, with a note that said, "I guess these both meant nothing to you." The audacity. I took a picture and sent it to my lawyer. She tried everything to win me back after that. Showed up at my work site with the kids once, but my foreman sent her away. Then, she sent me lingerie pics at 2 a.m. with texts like, "Remember what you're missing." But that shit didn't work on me anymore. I blocked that number. She had her friends call me to say she was in a really dark place. I didn't care. Amber's mom even cornered my mom at the grocery store to beg her to talk sense into me. My mom told her to pound sand. I went through all the emotions, rage, depression, self-doubt, more rage. There were brief moments of weakness when I almost called her, but I'd snap back into rage again. My construction crew noticed my change in demeanor and started inviting me out more, which actually helped a lot. Brothers before hoes, right? Seriously, the divorce process was brutal. Amber hired some shark attorney who specializes in women's divorce rights, and she tried to paint me as controlling and abusive. Her evidence? I tracked her phone. Yeah, we share locations for safety. Monitored her spending. Well, we had joint accounts. And apparently, I isolated her from friends. Never mind that I paid for the girl's trip where she cheated on me. She demanded full custody, claiming I worked too many hours to be a good father. She wanted the house, 70% of our savings, and $2,200 a month in alimony. Her lawyer sent a settlement offer that would have basically left me living in my truck and seeing my kids every other weekend. My lawyer laughed when he read it and said they were high on their own supply. He countered with joint legal custody, primary physical custody to me, since I had been the stable parent while she was having her midlife crisis at 29, child support from her, and a 50-50 split of assets, minus my pre-marriage 401k. When the negotiations dragged on for months, I was living at Dave's, trying to stay focused at work and spending every moment I could with my kids. I started taking them to the park every weekend, teaching Liam to ride a bike, and taking Zoe to daddy-daughter dance classes. I wanted them to know I wasn't going anywhere, even if their mother was a cheating waste of space. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but stalk her social media. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have, but Amber and Ryan were still in contact. She flew out to Arizona to see Kayla, sure, for a weekend, but 2 months after we separated, she posted no pictures. Came back with a suspicious hickey that she tried to hide with a scarf in June in Michigan. The divorce proceedings got nasty fast. During a deposition, her lawyer tried to claim I was verbally abusive. I had screenshots of every text we'd ever sent, showing I was nothing but supportive. They tried claiming I was hiding assets. LOL, what assets? They even tried using my brother's DUI from college as evidence, trying to twist it into me exposing the kids to unsafe individuals. But then came the custody evaluation. The court-appointed psychologist interviewed us both, watched us with the kids, and reviewed all the evidence. In her report, she noted that I was stable, consistent, and child-focused, while Amber was impulsive, self-centered, and prioritized her own needs. The psych also mentioned Amber's inappropriate relationship during the marriage and her pattern of deception as concerns for her judgment. That report changed everything. Suddenly, Amber's lawyer was calling mine, talking settlement, but the damage was done. I wasn't giving an inch on custody. It dragged on for almost a year of my life wasted on lawyer fees, court appearances, and watching Amber's increasingly desperate attempts to either win me back or destroy me, depending on the day. The custody battle got even nastier. Amber even flew Ryan in to be a character witness. WTF? That injury backfired spectacularly. When my lawyer asked about their relationship timeline, Ryan admitted they'd been sending nudes back and forth for weeks before the divorce was even filed. Amber's lawyer looked like he was contemplating a career change. When we finally got a court date, the judge was a no-nonsense older woman who had seen it all. After reviewing the evidence, including the texts between Amber and Ryan that my lawyer subpoenaed, gems like, "I can't wait to be done with this divorce so we can be together for real," she made her ruling. 50-50 legal custody, primary physical custody to me, with Amber getting every other weekend and one evening a week. Child support from Amber, not much since she barely works, but it was the principle. 50-50 split of marital assets, no alimony. We had to sell the house and split the proceeds. The judge specifically mentioned that Amber's lack of judgment and ongoing deception were factors in the custody decision. She also noted that I had been the more stable parent throughout the separation, maintaining the kids' routines while Amber was focused on her personal relationships. She broke down crying in court. Her mom had to help her out of the room. I just sat there feeling nothing. Not happiness, not relief, just emptiness. This isn't how our story was supposed to end. After the divorce, Amber and Ryan dated officially for about 2 months. He even moved to Michigan temporarily, getting an Airbnb near her parents' place. Shocker. Turns out vacation relationships aren't built on solid foundations. According to Kayla, who's now Team Josh, Ryan ghosted Amber when she started talking about him meeting the kids and maybe moving in together. Apparently, he was also talking to 2 other women the whole time. Karma's real. We sold the house for $380,000. I used my share to buy a smaller place closer to my parents, who help with the kids. It's not fancy, a 3-bedroom ranch with a decent yard, but it's ours, and Amber's name isn't on it. Amber rented some luxury apartment downtown that she can't really afford. Her parents are subsidizing her fresh start. They're still convinced their daughter is the victim. Somehow. Amber's been on this bizarre redemption tour lately. She's finding herself through spirituality, according to her new Instagram bio. Got a tiny lotus flower tattoo, started posting about healing and forgiveness. She sent me this long, rambling letter written on fancy stationery, saying I destroyed the best thing in my life, because I was too selfish to appreciate what I had. I used it to start a bonfire with my buddies. Her sister messaged me on Facebook saying Amber cries herself to sleep and is on antidepressants. Part of me thinks good, and the other part just doesn't give a shit anymore. She made her choices. I had tickets to a concert after our divorce was finalized. I'm betting she didn't think about our family when she was moaning Ryan's name in his car and leaving her kids for a hiking trip, but at least the kids are doing better than I expected. They're in this play therapy program that my insurance surprisingly covers. They still ask sometimes when mommy and daddy are getting back together. I just tell them sometimes grown-ups work better as friends than as husband and wife, but we both love them very much. My son asked last week if mommy's friend Ryan was going to be at her house, so that was a fun conversation. On the upside, I got promoted to regional manager at the construction company, which came with a $15,000 raise. My crew threw me a surprise party at the bar and got me a cake that said, "Congrats on the divorce and the promotion." Those guys kept me sane through all this. I'm still in therapy. My therapist says I've moved from crisis response to rebuilding, which I guess means I'm less likely to punch a hole in the wall when Amber's name comes up. I still have dreams where I'm back in our house and everything's normal. Then I wake up and remember reality. Those are the worst. Dating has been weird. I've been careful, overly careful, maybe because I've got 2 little ones who don't need any more turbulence in their lives. My brother keeps trying to play matchmaker, throwing his wife's friends into the mix like he's hosting some DIY dating show. Nothing stuck. Most of them were kind, but it felt like I was sitting through interviews, not dates. Then there was Melissa. She teaches kindergarten, has a laugh that makes people turn their heads, and this quiet confidence that doesn't demand attention, it just draws you in. We met at one of Zoe's daycare events, made small talk over juice boxes and finger painting, and I didn't think much of it, but we bumped into each other again at a coffee shop a few days later, and something about her made me pause. Her energy was different. I don't even know how to explain it. There was just charisma. Nothing loud or over the top, but the kind that makes you feel like the noise in your head fades for a bit. But eventually, I realized I felt calm around her in a way I hadn't felt in years, no pressure to talk about the divorce unless I wanted to. No performative sympathy, just quiet understanding, and the kind of company that lets you exhale without realizing you've been holding your breath. There's this instinct I didn't expect. When something's weighing on me, I want to tell her. I want to vent and then just sit next to her and not be the guy who got cheated on or the dad trying to hold it together with her. I'm just me, and that's rare. I'm not rushing anything. We both know I've got baggage that hasn't finished unpacking, but the idea of rest, of finally not feeling like I'm constantly bracing for the next hit, that's what Melissa brings. And yeah, it makes me wonder what life could look like if I stopped surviving and started actually living again. And in a weird twist of fate, Kayla and Mark split up too. Turns out Kayla had her own margarita run on a Vegas trip. Mark texted me, "Guess we both married from the same toxic batch?" Now we hit the gym together on Saturdays and talk about our exes between sets. Misery loves company, right? The most recent development? Amber's apparently dating her spiritual advisor now, some 45-year-old dude with a man bun who runs the yoga studio where she works. She wants to introduce him to the kids as her special friend. My lawyer sent a strongly worded letter about the custody agreements, right of first refusal for new partners. But here's what I've taken away from this entire mess. If someone lies about the small stuff, don't kid yourself. They'll lie about the big stuff too. Promises are cheap. Patterns are what count. Kids, they bounce back quicker than you'd expect. My son still clings to that old stuffed dinosaur from when he was tiny, but honestly, he's navigating this divorce better than I am. Half the time, real friends don't disappear when things get ugly. My construction crew are solid. My foreman didn't bat an eye when I needed time off, and the guys never pushed unless I brought it up. Just showed up, no questions asked. That's real loyalty. And for any dads out there worried about court, yes, you can get custody if you step up and prove you're the steady one. You better document everything like it's your full-time job. As for marriage, if I ever do it again, there's going to be a prenup with a clause specifically banning taco runs with strangers. Deal breaker. No discussion. Moving on. It's not some perfect upward climb. Some days I feel okay. Other days, I catch myself staring at her car and thinking things that definitely aren't healthy. Apparently, that's all part of the process. Thanks for riding along on this shit show, Reddit brothers. Your comments and support got me through the darkest year of my life. Pour one out for the death of my marriage, but also for the birth of my self-respect. And then, if your wife ever says she's going on a taco run with some random dude at midnight, just start calling divorce lawyers. Trust me. TLDR, wife went on girls' trip, did a taco run with some dude, trickled truth about cheating, finally admitted to hooking up with him multiple times. I tried to take my kids and money, lost in court, and she's now dating her spiritual guru while I'm rebuilding my life one day at a time.